Once upon a time in the village of Madusa lived a skilled palm wine tapper named Kosi. Kosi had two wives called Kiru and Ayeru. After being married to Kiru for 10 years, Kiru was unable to conceive. Hence, Kosi went for a second wife who gave him 3 beautiful children, 2 boys and a girl. The people of Madusa loved Kosi so much because his palm wine was the best among the rest. Kiru and Ayeru both sell at the market square. Kiru, a calm and peaceful woman who was known for selling the freshest tomatoes in the market, always had a lot of customers drawn to her, unlike Ayeru, who was known for her disrespectful attitude and shop tongue, who mostly ended up sucking her customers away by her rude behavior. They were both hardworking regardless of their individual differences. Ayeru, proud of her fertile blessings, began to taunt Kiru. She would say, "You dare not send any of my children. What is keeping you from having your own children? You are probably cursed. What kind of woman cannot bear children?" Ayeru could not comprehend why Kiru was loved by their husband so much, even though she was unable to conceive. She didn't know it was because of the calm nature of Kiru. Kiru respected her husband so much and gave him peace, unlike Ayeru, who was always loud and authoritative. She felt she needed to be treated better than the first wife because she gave birth to his children after years of him searching. Ayeru always made mockery of Kiru and reminded her of her barrenness. This weighed heavily on Kiru and made her cry for so many days. Kosi, who mostly spent his time at the farm and went about selling his palm wine, had no idea any of this was happening. Ayeru warned her children not to go close to Kiru because she is cursed. The teasing and mockery became too much so that Kiru decided to stop selling at the market. Ayeru had teamed with other market women who made mockery of her from time to time. Eventually, Kiru got tired and opted to stay back home. She was fed up of the teasing and mockery. Kiru told her husband what she was going through. Kosi advised her to avoid Ayeru and not to fight back. One cloudy day, Ayeru's girl child fell seriously sick and was rushed to the village herbal doctor, who gave some herbal medication to the girl child. Her condition worsened the more. Ayeru accused Kiru of her child's sudden illness because Kiru gave her food, even though Kiru gave food to all the 3 children. Ayeru told herself she was going to use the sudden illness of her daughter as an advantage to blame her rival Kiru for being the cause. The condition of the girl child became worse and she passed on. Stricken with grief and anger, Ayeru accused Kiru of using witchcraft to kill her daughter. Ayeru spread rumors in the village that Kiru was the one who killed her female child because she was jealous of her. Some believed Ayeru, while others believed it was just a tragic coincidence. Ayeru was happy other people believed her lies. She knew very well that Kiru had nothing to do with the death of her child. In her thought, she said, "This is how you will lose the love of her husband." Her only motive was to make their husband hate her. Yet with all the lies, Kosi loved Kiru even the more. He had lived with Kiru for so long. He knew Kiru would never do such a thing. This angered Ayeru the more. She was so furious because her many attempts to make Kosi hate Kiru was not working. Days and months went by, and yet still Kiru was unable to conceive. Her desperation grew. One day, an elderly woman in the village told Kiru about a seer who lived deep in the forest. The seer was said to have power to grant children to those who sought for him. Kiru decided to visit the seer as she was hopeful something could be done about her condition. After a long journey, Kiru finally reached the seer's place. Kiru shared her pain to the seer. The seer told her he can help her, but on a condition. The condition was for her to sleep with the spouse of her daughter on the day of their marriage ceremony, else she would die a day after her marriage. She was told to be the first to sleep with the man before her daughter died. Because of how desperate she was, she agreed and did not think of any future implication. She wanted a child and was ready to do anything just to have a child. The seer gave her a potion to drink and told her to go make out with her husband. She asked if she was to give something in return. The seer said all she had to do was to fulfill her side of the deal. She thanked the seer and left back to the village hopeful. True to the seer's words, Kiru conceived. She decided to keep it until she was far gone. The husband didn't even notice. 3 months gone, Kiru finally shared the news to her husband. Her husband was surprised and filled with so much joy. He then said, "We will hear the cry of a baby in your room." When Ayeru heard this, she was filled with jealousy, yet she congratulated her in pretense. Shame was seen all over her face. 6 months later, Kiru gave birth to a beautiful bouncing baby girl, and they named her Lily. Kiru was filled with so much joy. Finally, she was going to be called a mother. Kosi was so excited because his wife was no longer going to be called names. Lily was a lovely child who brought so much love and peace into the family. Out of shame, Ayeru apologized for the many bad things she did against Kiru. Kiru forgave her and shared things with her. Years passed and Lily blossomed into a very beautiful young girl that won the hearts of many people in the village of Madusa. One of the young men from the village came to ask for her hand in marriage. Lily liked the man too, so she agreed to marry him. At midnight, Kiru had a dream whereby she was told by the seer to remember her side of the deal, else her daughter was going to die. She woke up and was frightened. This is something she has never told anyone about, not even her husband. She thought to herself, how am I going to let this happen? She told herself she will find a way of convincing her soon-to-be-in-law by name Ziga to follow her somewhere. That is the only way out. Kiru approached Ziga and told her about an old tradition that she has to perform on him at dawn on the day of the marriage ceremony, so that they can both be blessed and not encounter any evil during their marriage. She told him she would take him to the stream side and that this was a secret that should be kept between the two. Ziga later told Lily about it because he has never heard of such a thing. Well, he didn't mind as long as it was going to bring blessing. At dawn, Ziga came to meet Kiru. They quietly left, careful not to wake anyone. On their way, Kiru gave him something to drink, that it was part of the tradition. He collected and drank it. By the time they got to the stream, Ziga became very weak and fell to the ground. Because Ziga told Lily about the tradition, Lily woke up very early and decided to follow up to see how the tradition was performed. By the time Lily got to the stream, she had a shock of her life. She saw her mother sitting on Ziga and making out with him whilst he lied unconscious. She screamed, "Mother, what have you done?" With tears in her eyes, she began to shake. Kiru got up and held Lily, begging her not to shout. Ziga was still unconscious, not knowing what was happening. She began to explain and narrate everything to Lily. She quickly dressed Ziga up, who was still lying unconscious. She told her the condition she was given, and because she loves her so much, she had no choice but to do it. There and then, the seer appeared from nowhere with smoke around him with a strange voice that sounded like thunder. He then said, "Well done, my faithful servant." As soon as he said that, Lily felt unconscious too. Kiru, with tears in her eyes, asked what was happening. He then said he was going to wipe what she had witnessed completely from her memory. She would not remember what she witnessed. After some few minutes, the seer vanished and Lily woke up as well as Ziga. They both asked Kiru what went on, but she said it was all part of the ritual she was to perform. Ziga looked so confused. He didn't know what happened to him. He then asked Lily why she followed since it was against the tradition. She said she only wanted to see how it was performed. Now she doesn't even remember how she ended up unconscious. Kiru told them she has already performed the ritual, so they all went back home. The marriage ceremony happened and everyone was happy. As soon as Lily and Ziga stepped out, there was a loud shout that brought them back. Kiru fell and died instantly. The day began like any other, but by nightfall, everything changed. The happiest day of their life became a mourning day. She was buried after a few days without the family knowing the cause. Lele moved on with her life with her husband. Ayeru became the only wife to Kosi. There are consequences to every actions we take. Thank you very much for listening to our lovely story. Please like and subscribe. Came a morning day. She was buried after a few days without the family knowing the cause. Lele moved on with her life with her husband.